Okay, so let's get started with today's discussion. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, we are going to look at what is a virtual environment and why do you need it, and then we'll look at how we install or install NumPy. NumPy doesn't come with the default installation of Python, so for that we need to understand the concept of virtual environment. Okay. So I have a small blog on my website here. You can go to my website and let's look at what is virtual environment. So if you will come down here, Python virtual environment, let's try to understand it. Okay, so what is virtual environment? The purpose of virtual environment is to create an isolated environment for Python projects. What does it mean is that virtual environments help us to run isolated instances of Python or Django project on machine without conflicting with one another. So you could have one project, another project, and in one project you can have a different version of Python or different versions of different modules in that particular Python installation. Why? Because maybe we will talk about it in more details later on. So to understand the philosophy behind virtual environment, let us consider the following use case. So the use case is, let's say we are working on two projects, a blog and a forum from two different clients, right? Our blog uses a library called super library version 2. On the other hand, our forum uses this particular version of maybe the same library, which is version 01. At any given point in time, we can only have single version of super library installed on our system, and we can't have both the versions, right? Given a particular project, you can have in a given project you can only have one version of a particular module, right? So what I mean by that is, if you will go back here and let's say suppose this is your one project and this is your another project. Okay, now this project also has Python installed, and we are having 3x version, some 3x version, and this also has Python 3x version. Fine. Now what you have to do is basically that in this particular module you need, let's say for example, I'll take example of NumPy, a particular version of NumPy, okay, 1.2. okay, and here you might need NumPy 1.3. Why you need 1.3 here? Maybe because there was some bug which was fixed in 1.3 which was needed in this particular project here, right? So you would only want to upgrade this NumPy and not this. You don't want to touch generally things which are already working, right? So what you would do in such a case, when you create a project in your PyCharm, you will see that it creates a virtual space, and in that virtual space it creates or copies the entire Python installation plus the required modules that it needs, right? You will understand more of this when we look at Django. So I hope the concept of why we are having different virtual environments is clear to all of you, right? I mean, you don't want to conflict with one version of NumPy with another, as long as this one here just needed a specific version, this one just needed a specific version, and this one needed another version. Okay, so just 1 minute. So basically our question is that whether the base version of Python remains same. So the point is that, and the answer to your question is that this project could have been on 2x also, right, to begin with, and this could have been separately 3x. Okay, so that is also possible. So virtual environment could have any version of Python as well. Is it clear? Okay, so coming back here, so at any given point in time we can have a single version of library. So this was a case wherein we had same Python but different versions of libraries within the Python, right, installed on our system. We can't have both versions installed simultaneously, right? A virtual environment solves this problem by creating a separate Python installation So no matter what libraries you install on a particular virtual environment using pip, what is pip? I'm going to talk about pip in some time, will not conflict with the libraries available at system-wide Python installation, right? So you could have, for example, you could have Python installed on your machine, and then when you create a new project, it ends up copying all those libraries of Python and create a separate virtual environment for itself, so that if within the what you say within the project you make changes or add a different module or whatever you want to do, it will not conflict with the existing installation of Python that you have. Another use case we can look at is Python application will often use packages and modules that don't come as part of standard library, right? Applications will need some specific versions of library because the application may require that a particular bug has been fixed, or the application may be written using an obsolete version of library's interface, right? So this means it may not be possible for one Python installation to meet requirements of every application. If application A needs version 1.0 of a particular module, but application B needs version 2.0, then the requirements are in conflict, and installing either 1.0 or 1.2.0 will leave the application unable to run, right? So the solution to this problem is to create a virtual environment, a self-contained directory tree containing a Python installation for a particular version of Python, right? Plus a number of additional packages. So here you could have chosen to have different versions of Python or whatever version of Python you needed, and plus you could have a different package of your choice as per whatever you are trying to solve or whatever problem you are trying to fix using that particular specific package, right? So different applications can then use different virtual environments. To resolve the earlier example of conflicting requirements, application A can have its own virtual environment with version 1.0 installed, while application B can have another virtual environment with version 2.0 if application B requires to be upgraded to 3.0, right? So this will not affect the application A's environment. Now in my case, let me show to you that when I installed Python, I went to Python apps, and I believe my Python installation is here. Okay, so this is where I begin installation of Python. But when I go and create a project, so let me say I create a new project. Okay, so you will see okay, so there is some indexing updating going on. Okay, so it is not available. Okay, so let me do one thing. So let me go to settings here. Okay, now if you will see that in this settings here, if you search for virtual, okay, so here is the virtual environment created for this particular project. Can you see this? C users dot virtual environment. So name of my project is uh, connect to tech uh, advanced Python scripting. So I'll go to C users Naresh. So I'll go to my C users, where is my users, Naresh, right? And after that it was dot virtual environments, right? I'll go to dot, where is my dot virtual environments, and can you see for this project, which is this one, I have a virtual environment with all the libraries here which is needed, right? Which is needed here, and all that is needed is available here, right? And if in future I go ahead and add some module, some particular package or a module, which I'll show to you in some time, it becomes part of this virtual environment for this particular project. Okay, so if you want to create a new project, let's say I go to file, new project. Okay, so you can for example, I'm going to call it dummy project. Okay, now here you have a choice to pull up your installation of Python, right? In this case I'm using my 3x. You can choose 2x or whatever, and then it will create a virtual environment for you depending upon which 3x or 2x, whichever you have chosen. So I'll click on create, and then it is telling me whether you want to do it in a new window. I'll do it in a new window. Okay, so I'll click on this, and let's see, can you see that it has started creating virtual environment and using the base as this one, right? So this process of creating virtual environment involves copying all those files and all that to the location I had told you. So if I now again go back here in the virtual environments, do you see dummy project getting created with all the libs and include whatever is included is getting copied here, right? So this is how the PyCharm is doing it for you. When we get started with what you say web development with Django, we will look at it in a little bit more details, but for now we have a fair idea of what is a virtual environment and what is the purpose of virtual environment, right? So that's all we will do with respect to virtual environment. After this we will move on to, so the continuation recording or video for this is NumPy video, wherein I'll show you how to install NumPy. Okay, so what I mean by that is, if you will go to my YouTube channel here, which I have already shared with you, so there is this playlist here. I just created one Python for data analysis. I'll add more videos here. So if you go to Python for data analysis, this is Python NumPy. This is the continuation of the current discussion that we are having. Fine. So that's pretty much about it. We'll move on to NumPy now.